Hi, my name is Ann Braaten. I'm on faculty at North Dakota State University in Fargo. I teach in the Apparel, Design, and Hospitality Management Department in the Apparel, Retail, Merchandising, and Design program. I'd like to welcome you to the dedication of the Women's Suffrage marker at the DeLendrecie Building in Fargo. And with this marker, it is found on Main Avenue and 7th Street South in the city of Fargo. It was put there in celebration of the Centennial of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. This amendment is stated very simply. It goes, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the right to the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation." The Votes for Women Trail marker honors the DeLendrecie Building as headquarters of the North Dakota Votes for Women's League. This office was located in the building from 1912 to 1918. The office was made possible by a woman named Helen DeLendrecie. She was a suffrage activist and a founder of the North Dakota Votes for Women's League. She was a member of the Fargo Fortnightly Study Club, and this club and its women members got together and decided that they were going to found the North Dakota Votes for Women's League in February of 1912. And they did this when Sylvia Pankhurst was scheduled to stop in North Dakota, in Fargo, to speak on February 4th of 1912. And so people were curious about this militant suffragist from Great Britain who was willing to go to jail in order for women to gain the right to vote. And so they brought her here because they knew that she would be a popular speaker, that it would bring attention to the cause of suffrage, and that it would help to launch the North Dakota Votes for Women's League and their platform to the state. Helen DeLendrecie and the DeLendrecie family donated space for the North Dakota Women's League office in room 324 of the DeLendrecie Building. The building was located right across from the Northern Pacific Railroad Depot, which is pictured at the bottom of this slide. And in the DeLendrecie Building was the O.J. DeLendrecie department store. It was the oldest and largest department store in North Dakota, and it was opened in 1872, and this building was added on to have 5 stories after the first 2 were recreated. And so as money came into the DeLendrecie family coffers, they built here in the city of Fargo. If you were to have arrived on a train and got off at the Northern Pacific Railroad Depot in Fargo, you would walk through from the tracks to Front Street, which is what Main Avenue was called then. And when you looked out across Front Street, you would see the DeLendrecie Building and the department store. On the left-hand side is 7th Street South, or 7th Avenue South. And if you look to the right-hand side, you would see the Waldorf Hotel, which was a building about this same size, but a very important building and important and grand hotel until it burned down. So it is no longer there. And so the DeLendrecie Building was located at the center of Fargo at the time, from 1912 to 1920, when the amendment was ratified. Today, it's part of the historic district of downtown Fargo, and the beautiful buildings still survive. With the DeLendrecie Building and the gift that they made to North Dakota Suffrage, it provided a central location for suffrage activities to take place. And so the North Dakota Votes for Women's League, they had a space to organize, to have things stored, and to mail things out to other individuals in the state. They also had a place to meet and organize. And so by 1914, when there was a referendum for women's suffrage on the ballot in North Dakota, they had established over 200 local chapters in the state of North Dakota. And they were organized and administrated from this office in the DeLendrecie Building. They sent out lots of publications. They staffed the office a few days a week so people could stop in to pick up information about suffrage and learn how to move the office, the campaign forward. I would like to introduce Susan Wefald. She was co-chair of the North Dakota Centennial Committee, and she was in charge of working with the Pomeroy Foundation in applying for the markers that are part of the Votes for Women's Trail in North Dakota.
Hi, I'm Susan Wefald, and I am so happy to be able to participate today in this dedication of the DeLendrecie Building as a marker on the National Votes for Women's Trail. I remember 19 months ago when I put out a call for places and people to recognize in this state for the 5 markers that we could nominate here in North Dakota. And Braaten and Markus Kruger said, we have to put the DeLendrecie Building on this National Votes for Women's Trail. And I agreed because it was such a busy site. It was a place where women and men, suffragists from all over the state came and arranged the affairs for the campaigns that happened in 1913, 1915, 1917, and 1919 here in this state, which led to voting rights for most women. I have been working with the Pomeroy Foundation in New York State, and they sent a letter, which I'm happy to read today as part of this dedication. This is from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation. On behalf of the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, we want to thank you for commemorating the DeLendrecie Building's importance to suffrage activities in North Dakota with this National Votes for Women's Trail roadside marker. This is an exciting moment as you commemorate her legacy and help celebrate the centennial of the 19th Amendment. We wish we could be with you on this special occasion and send our best wishes from Syracuse, New York. We would like to thank the North Dakota Women Suffrage Centennial Committee, the City of Fargo, our partner organization, the National Collaborative for Women's History Sites, and all those involved with obtaining the women's suffrage marker you see here today. We are proud to provide support for your good work to recognize the historical significance of the DeLendrecie Building, which was home to the headquarters of the North Dakota Votes for Women League from 1912 to 1918. As this note from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation indicated, the City of Fargo was also a very important partner in this project. And so I would next like to turn this over to Mayor Mahoney to say some words from the City of Fargo about this important dedication. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Anne, for the opportunity to address this important historic and contemporary topic. As the Mayor of Fargo, it is critical to recognize, acknowledge, and celebrate our deep and rich tradition of trailblazers, groundbreakers, and history makers. One of the greatest embodiments of this is the new Votes for Women trail marker at the DeLendrecie Building. This trail marker symbolizes the passion and dedication to equality exhibited by the North Dakota Votes for Women League. The work of the North Dakota Suffragists is an impressive story of perseverance. After incredible efforts by the Votes for Women League to get it on the ballot in 1913, a bill allowed women to vote was narrowly defeated in a statewide election. Of course, the Votes for Women League would not be stopped by this setback. As it continued its work, the League would face the opposing forces who did not want to see the women's right to vote granted, and even face some newspapers making ridiculous claims that women simply did not want to vote. Yet the suffragists of Fargo and all of North Dakota remained persistent and steadfast. By 1917, that commitment was doing what is right paid off, as a bill passed through the legislative session allowing the North Dakota women to vote in the presidential, county, and city elections. The full breadth of the women's right to vote was granted 3 years later. It has been only 100 years, one single lifetime, since America's women's constitutional right to vote was granted by the 19th Amendment. As we recognize the centennial mark, it is important also to honor the brave and determined women who led the suffrage movement right here in Fargo. This trail marker will forever serve as a reminder of the importance of standing up for what is right, regardless of what others say. Even now, more than a century later, we can all learn from the dedication exhibited in DeLendrecie Building. I encourage everyone to take a moment to visit the new marker on the corner of Main and 7th Street and reflect on the historic significance of that location. It is with great honor that our home city bears a marker like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Mahoney. With your work and the work of the City of Fargo, as well as all the other people that were involved, this marker will forever honor the work of women suffragists in the United States.